try to avoid getting political on my channel where possible, which is sometimes difficult to do when your channel is all about art. Art in itself is political. I truly believe that there is a power within art that, when channeled and focused right, can and has changed the world for the better. Art on its own can't tell you what to do, and I don't want to use my channel or my DeviantArt journal to do that, but I do want to use it to voice my opinion on what Just Stop Oil did to one of Vincent van Gogh's paintings. For those who don't know, Just Stop Oil is an activist organisation that performs public protest that demands the UK government to immediately halt all future licensing and consent for exploration, development and production of fossil fuels in the United Kingdom. They want to end reliance on fossil fuels by relying on renewables and cutting energy demand. Basically, they are a group of people who campaign to bring about political or social change. Activism consists of efforts to promote, impede, direct or intervene in social, political, economic or environmental reform, with the desire to make changes in society toward a perceived greater good. But what does activism have to do with art? Earlier this year, another activist threw a pie at the Mona Lisa painting, and what most people said was, what does the painting have to do with the environment? Well, nothing and also everything. When we engage with the work of art, it can connect you to your senses, body and mind. It can make the world felt, which spurs thinking, engagement and even action. Art helps us identify with one another and expands our notion of we, from the local to the global. As an artist myself, I do feel the responsibility to help people to get to know and understand things not just from within their mind, but also from an emotional and spiritual standpoint. Art motivates people to turn thinking into doing. I suppose that is exactly what activists do. The arts and culture represent one of the few areas in our society where people can come together to share an experience, even if they see the world in a radically different way. The important thing is not that we agree about the experience that we share, but that we consider it worthwhile sharing an experience at all. In art and other forms of cultural expression, disagreement is accepted and embraced as an essential ingredient. In this sense, the community created by arts and culture is potentially a great source of inspiration for politicians and activists who work to transcend the polarizing populism and stigmatization of other people, positions and worldviews that is sadly so endemic in public discourse today. Art also encourages us to cherish intuition, uncertainty and creativity, and to search constantly for new ideas. In other words, artists and anarchists aim to break rules. Art and activism go hand in hand. They are handcuffed together as they find unorthodox ways of approaching contemporary issues and exposing the truth. Protest art acts as an important tool to form social consciousness, create networks, operate accessibly and be cost effective. Social movements produce such works as the signs, banners, posters and other printed materials used to convey a particular cause or message. Creative activism can be defined as a kind of meta-activism that facilitates the engagement of active citizens in temporary, strategically manufactured, transformative interventions in order to change society for the better by communicating conflicts and/or solutions where no one else can or will, in order to provoke reflection and consequent behavioural changes in an attempt to revitalise the political imagination. So when Just Stop Oil was asking a question like what's more important, art or life, they are essentially asking if the sunflower painting that they threw a can of soup at is more important than a starving or dying person.
Just Stop Oil activists have thrown tomato soup over one of Vincent van Gogh's most famous paintings, Sunflowers.
What is worth more, art or life? Are you concerned about the protection of a painting or the protection of our planet and people?
Of course the person has more value, but attacking a piece of art like this is sending mixed messages in how much you value human artistic expression, which is one of the things that makes us human in the first place. In other words, art is life. Life is art. To say that one has value while the other doesn't is ridiculous. When asking a question, what's more important, art or life, you are asking, what's more important, the sunflowers painting or Vincent van Gogh, the man who painted it? Of course, Vincent van Gogh, the man, is more valuable than the painting, but that's because the painting at the time was only worth maybe a couple of £100. And by the way, he didn't sell a single painting until just before his suicide. The sunflower paintings communicate gratitude. The sunflower itself is a coarse and unrefined flower. They are synonymous with Vincent. In my opinion, damaging historic artifacts like one of the sunflower paintings is not the way to win the support of the public. But I'm aware that activist organisations like Just Stop Oil aren't here to make friends. That's not the point. I understand that. But if anything, to me, this felt more like performance art than legitimate activism. It doesn't even feel like creative activism. Activism is neither a good or bad thing because that depends on the cause and the actions and a person's judgment of what is worthwhile. Fighting for the environment is something I really want to get behind. But I can't get behind this act of vandalism, even if the painting wasn't damaged and Just Stop Oil were aware that the painting was behind glass at the time. The problem I have is with what's being targeted. I'm unsure of the relevancy of the painting or of the relevancy of the artist for what they are campaigning for. As an artist myself, if someone threw soup at one of my paintings, I would feel like it was an attack on me personally. I can't speak for Vincent van Gogh, of course, because clearly he's, 6 foot under, but I can't help but feel like the so-called tortured artist, quote unquote, is being used as a straw man. If he were alive today, the activists have attacked a man who suffers from schizophrenia, bipolar disorder and epilepsy. They ask what's more important, the protection of a painting or the protection of the planet. Of course the planet is more important than a painting. But by throwing soup at this painting, you aren't just attacking a painting. You are attacking the nature of what makes a person human, what made Vincent van Gogh human. To me, you are attacking art itself. And art is life. Life is art. Artistic expression is far more of an effective way to raise awareness of issues than random acts of vandalism. I understand that Just Stop Oil feel like they are being ignored. And this is why they are resorting to these acts, so that they get attention.
If the government are not going to listen, if they're just going to ignore everything else, this is the kind of action we're forced to take.
Are you surprised at the backlash from the public over this? Did you think you'd have the public's support?
Obviously it's a very controversial action, but then again, you can wipe the soup off. There's no actual damage.
But the fact that they knew the painting was protected by glass tells me they never intended to damage the painting itself, but it also makes me think that they can use that as an excuse. Oh, the painting wasn't damaged, you can just wipe the soup off. That's like breaking into someone's house and saying, it's fine, the door can be fixed. This feels like an invasion to me. To me, this says that to save the planet, we must destroy culture. Or to get attention when we talk about these issues, we must vandalize historic artifacts, disturb everyday people by blocking roads or spray paint all over Scotland Yard, spill litres and litres of milk all over a supermarket floor that some poor person who works for minimum wage has to spend hours cleaning up. To me, Just Stop Oil are targeting the wrong people. They're also getting arrested and ruining their lives. Surely instead of throwing a tin of soup at a painting or spraying Scotland Yard with paint, you can donate cans of soup to food banks or help serve food to those who need it. And if you guys do that already, then fantastic. But if you don't, then I can't help but see your actions as hypocritical and mindless. Yes, life is the most valuable thing on this planet, but that doesn't mean creative expression has no value. The activists clearly rehearsed their speech, they said after gluing themselves to the wall beside this painting. This is performance art, targeting human creativity. I don't know what the answer is to the oil crisis, but I for sure know it's not throwing soup at a painting. I also find it deeply concerning that Just Stop Oil is being funded by an heiress of an oil company. Make of that what you wish. Art is life. Life is art. I'm Mad Munchkin. Stay creative.